Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie, and today I'm going to be showing you my curated collection of polishes inspired by a rainy day. This spring has been so cold and gloomy, and it's honestly not my favorite weather by any means, but I figured I could lean into the April showers kind of quote by enjoying some really pretty polishes that give me all those cozy rainy day vibes. So as always, I will save more of my thoughts for the end. For now, let me show you the swatches. The first polish I have is from Cracked, appropriately named Another Day in the PNW. It's this dark charcoal gray base with a really moody blue to green shifting shimmer. I think it just perfectly captures the gloomy rainy day vibe. This one especially, or specifically, reminds me of that blue greenish tint seen in Twilight, which I only watched for the first time last year, so it makes me appreciate this shade so much more. Continuing with the darker, gloomy shades, the next one I have is ILNP's Reign, which I totally picked, no pun intended. This was from a winter collection a few years ago, and it's another deep gray jelly base that's filled with these tiny holographic flakies. I feel like this one totally invokes those super dark and stormy nights where you see the raindrops glistening under streetlights. I don't know if it's the really dark color, but I feel like the shade also just specifically reminds me of a rainy night in New York City. In a similar vein, I have ILNP's Thundercloud, which was from the Overcast collection a few winters ago. I do have another shade from that release in my lineup, but honestly, just special shout out to that whole collection for fully embracing all the overcast and rainy day vibes. Thundercloud is another moody gray jelly base, but this one is filled with a slightly larger iridescent flaky that honestly reminds me a bit more of hail or freezing rain, which we got a bit of earlier in the season. The name is obviously also perfect too, even though I hate to admit it, but I'm one of those people who's kind of like scared of thunderstorms, more specifically the sudden claps of loud thunder, but the low, far away rumbling of thunder is pretty cool. This next polish should not be a surprise if you know me. This is Ave Raindrop from a spring collection a few years ago. That whole collection theme just really resonated with me as it told a story of spring, how you can't have rainbows without the rain. And again, rainy days can just really bring my mood down more often than not, but they're just so essential to have every now and then. This gorgeous deep blue with a dainty hollow sparkle really made me look at those gloomy rainy days differently and just made me appreciate them so much more. Finally, moving away from the dark and gloomy shades, the next one I have is ILNP's Low Rise from their most recent Rewind collection. This is a muted denim blue with a super dainty hollow dusting throughout. While this is the exact color of some light wash jeans I had when I was growing up, for some reason it also just reminds me of a rainy day where it's specifically a light drizzle from some clouds passing through, where you can see a little bit of that beautiful blue sky. So I'm not really sure if those are sun showers, but that's what makes sense in my head with how I'm envisioning it. The next shade I have is Fauve Monet from their recent Impressionism collection. This is an almost medium, dusty cornflower blue with a stunning blue shimmer. While it has a little bit of a periwinkle leaning color to the base, there's something about this that reminds me of those like balmy or hazy mornings where the sun is peeking through the mist and everything is just glistening. I guess the color makes it lean more into what you'd see in like a fairy forest, but either way, it's just so pretty and so serene. Up next, I have my favorite from the Overcast collection. This is ILNP's Pitter Patter, which has a light gray jelly base filled with these yellow iridescent flakies. I believe I shared this one in my spring favorites video last year because its soft color, twinkly flakies, and obviously perfect name just make you visualize and hear the delicate sound of raindrops on your umbrella as you go for a morning stroll. This just feels like another grounding sort of anchor color to me that just helps me get through those overcast days of spring. I have a couple of creams in my lineup. This first one here is Ave Storm, which is from the same collection as Raindrop. This is a beautiful moody gray that matches the color of storm clouds. It also just has such a lush and creamy formula that I think would work so well for nail art. Like, it's the perfect color to add shadows and detailing to clouds, so I'm really excited to try that. The other cream that I have is Zoya Megan, which is kind of an oldie in my collection, but it's another light gray. This one has a little bit more of a hint of a periwinkle undertone that I think just makes it so flattering. I think this one really reminds me of the color of an overcast sky early in the morning. Even though this one and Storm didn't have any kind of sparkle or shimmer to represent actual rain, creams feel like the perfect palette cleanser to capture the feeling of after the rain. The lightest shade in my lineup is Mooncat's Head in the Clouds, which is described as a cloud white with blue shimmer. This is definitely a great option for those who don't love gray, though I would say it's still like a slightly off-white color that leans a little bit gray, at least compared to like a pure white. Either way, the blue shimmer in this one really brings in those rainy day vibes, like a light drizzle rolling through. Next, I have another Mooncat, and this is Castle of Cobwebs from the recent Broken collection. This is a pale gray jelly base with another blue shimmer, but this one isn't as finely milled or densely packed as the last shade, which almost gave it a sheen. I really love that this has a slightly larger shimmer particle because it just looks like these little raindrops. And at first, I wasn't super crazy about this shade. It just didn't stand out to me because I feel like it didn't really vibe with the rest of the collection. But again, just reframing the way that I view this shade through the lens of a rainy day polish, it's just so perfect and so satisfying. And the last polish I have for my lineup is LynB's Does It Get Eddie Vedder, which was a previous polish pickup shade, so I'm sorry it's not readily available, but I feel like it is a simple enough color combination that we likely will see it again. This one is the sheerest gray jelly of my lineup, so it really leans into the more watery aspect, but it does build up beautifully in 3 coats, letting the shimmer really shine. Since this one is so sheer, it reminds me more of a fine mist versus actual rain, which I always love in theory, except for how frizzy it makes my hair. And here is my collage of all the polishes that give me rainy day vibes. I absolutely love this lineup of shades and honestly wish I could have included more of them in my spring favorites wheel this year, but I'm not mad at letting them shine in their own video. So that wraps up my nail polishes inspired by a rainy day. As always, I would love to know what you think of my lineup and this theme in general, if you're a fan of gloomy rainy days. Funny enough, the sun is actually out today, so I'm really happy about that, but it's still super cold and I'm just so not used to it because usually in April, you know, we start to see the weather warming up. So hopefully that will happen soon enough, but even if you aren't a fan of rainy days, I hope that you still like the video, but let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!